Charles Richard Durant Jr.
Okay, or Chuck for short.
Chuck for short. So when I was down at Cal Poly, college was fine, but I couldn't wait to get out of it. But then, the fourth year of architecture school at Cal Poly, they're faced with a dilemma down there. It's the biggest architecture school in the country, and there's no architecture around it to speak of. Very little around San Luis Obispo. At the same time, you could go overseas for a year. And they offered 4 countries. 5 technically, but really it was 4. Italy, Spain, France, and Denmark. You go to any of those countries. And I get out of the car and I walk down this little development of 33 houses. And it was under construction. It was only like 85% done. But my jaw just dropped, and it stayed dropped for like an hour. I barely made that plane. And I only had 3 photos in my camera left for the reel back in film days. And I took 3 photos of that place, and I showed it all over the place when I got back. And everybody said, Chuck, you need to go write a book about this. And it was and it still is the most astounding housing project I've ever seen. I mean, you walk down this thing under construction, and you can tell that the moms and the dads who put this thing together poured their heart into an environment for their kids. No cars anywhere around the whole development. And around each other. The houses were only about 8-9 paces, front door to front door, all pedestrian oriented. The kitchen sinks faced the lane. It was made for fostering healthy relationships between neighbors, clearly, start to finish. And yet, there weren't even any kitchens in the house yet. You could see where the kitchen was going to go. And you could see that every move, the height, the ratio, every move they made was devoted towards people having healthful experience day in and day out. So anyway, that's kind of literally when I was walking around that site, I was 22 or 23. I said, okay, now I know what I'm going to do for a living. I thought, okay, I'll be designing houses, abandon that. In fact, if I never design another single family house, I'll be happy. Because if we don't build another single family house, we'll be better off as a society. We have to figure out how to live closer together so that we can share, so we can cooperate, so we can create and thrive in a viable society. I lived here from the beginning, which was, we started this in 2002. And I lived in a co-housing in Emeryville for 12 years before that. I wanted to live in a co-housing in San Francisco, but just couldn't pull it off. So I did one in Emeryville. And before that, I lived in a co-housing in Denmark, which I really liked for 6 months. So. In co-housing, if you try to exert any hierarchy whatsoever, you're a non-voice immediately. And that's kind of the fair way to do it, I think. And it's the way that we all sort of adapt to and don't really complain about. Because I honestly believe that kids who grew up in co-housing are quite different. Everybody's egalitarian, everybody makes suggestions, everybody argues and debates to the point that we come up with the best idea. Co-housing math is 1 + 1 = 3. I have an idea, you have an idea, and the third idea that we come up with together is better than either. And that becomes obvious over and over. And one thing you have to say about Oklahoma, they're very practical, they think, and so they wanted to live in co-housing because it made their lives easier, more convenient, more practical, more economical, etc. I've also designed 50 preschools around the world.
Wow.
50 big ones and probably another 50 smaller ones. But I became known as this guy who designs a lot of child care centers. So, and they're very upper. They're kind of bougie. Not because they're poor neighborhoods in San Francisco, but they got serious subsidies. And so me and my business partner, Louis Torelli, are known. You know, we did 6 of them for the World Bank, 3 of them in Washington, D.C., all over. Several in San Francisco that are, you know, just amazing scenes there. And so child care centers. And I just last year went to the Ukraine-Poland border for a month and had 60 volunteers, and we built 4 child care centers for kids. Literally, you could see them walking across the border. They would be shell-shocked. You see it in their eyes. You see it in the kids' eyes, that appreciation. My vocation has become my favorite avocation. I mean, when I'm not doing architecture for a living, I'm doing it for fun, honestly. I mean, I just started 3 new homeless projects up in Spokane, Washington, which I'm helping to organize totally voluntarily.